There's a player who might be sold for 10 million. Another one is on the radar of a European club, but might end up going to another continent. There's a star who wants to stay, but the club might not want that. And there's even a Brazilian national team player who might be on his way out. And the next stop could be the Premier League.
But hold on.
We're going to break all of this down right now. But first, make sure you subscribe to the channel, because here you get daily content about the biggest club in the world, Real Madrid. Hot news, passionate opinions, and behind-the-scenes info that no one else shows you. Let's go, Madridistas! Things are heating up in the market, and one of the most talked about names, in and outside of Spain, is Rodrigo goes. Yes, Rodrigo, our Brazilian lightning bolt, the very one who's already decided Champions League games, torn apart massive defenses, and has always been a symbol of stardom in big matches, is now losing space in Real Madrid squad. In recent weeks, the warning signs have fully lit up. Throughout the entire preseason, and even in the Club World Cup, Rodrigo was practically ignored by Xabi Alonso. He barely played, didn't get any consistent minutes, and it became clear to everyone, he's not a priority in the new manager's project. And as expected, the Premier League smelled an opportunity in the air, and came in hard. Arsenal, Liverpool, and especially Tottenham Hotspur are closely monitoring the situation. But the one that really stepped on the gas was Tottenham, who recently lost their South Korean star Son Heung-min, who announced his departure from the club, leaving a massive gap in the attacking sector, precisely where Rodrigo plays, the left wing. The Spurs board has already moved behind the scenes. With Son's sale, they freed up space on the wage bill and have cash on hand. The idea is clear: to use part of that money to try to convince Real Madrid to release Rodrigo before the transfer window closes. But there's one detail holding everything back: Rodrigo doesn't want Tottenham. Sources close to the player say he doesn't see himself playing in London. What he really wants is to wear the Liverpool shirt, a club he's admired for years and where he believes he can develop even more under a coach who values young talent. But then another problem comes into play. According to Diario AS, Liverpool is currently focused on another major deal. They're trying to sign Alexander Isak, Newcastle striker, for a huge fee. If that deal goes through, the plan to bring in Rodrigo could be completely scrapped. In other words, Rodrigo's fate now depends on a chain reaction in the market. If Liverpool seals the deal with Isak, the Brazilian's dream is over. If they don't, he could end up at Anfield and experience the best phase of his career. And if that doesn't happen, he might have to accept the idea of moving to London, even if it's against his will. Meanwhile, at the Bernabeu, the reality is harsh. Rodrigo has already realized he's no longer untouchable. With the arrival of Franco Mastantuono, the new Argentine prodigy who's already being eyed as a starter, the competition has gotten even tougher. Mbappe already owns the left wing, Vini is trying to reclaim the spotlight, and Brahim is still fighting for space. There's not much room left for number 11. According to behind-the-scenes sources, the Real Madrid board is willing to negotiate Rodrigo, but only if a truly advantageous offer comes in. The club doesn't want to let him go for just anything, but they also won't hold on to an unhappy player. And now the question for you, Madridista who follows everything closely. Would you sell Rodrigo now at 24, while he still has a high market value? Or do you believe he can still deliver and be useful this season, even with Mbappe, Vini and Mastantuono fighting for the same spot?
Tell us in the comments.
I really want to know what you think. Here's the thing, one of the most skillful players in the Merengue squad, at 26 years old, is in the middle of a negotiation that no one, I repeat no one, saw coming. And we're not talking about just any bench warmer. We're talking about Brahim Diaz. A guy who, whenever he comes on, always brings that touch of quality, unpredictability, and magic. A player who has already turned tough games around, has shown personality, and who the fans have a special fondness for. Brahim is grit, skill, and pure Madridismo. But now, his future might take a drastic turn. Benfica, one of the biggest clubs in Portugal, has opened negotiations with Real Madrid to try to sign number 21. And pay attention, the talks are already happening behind the scenes, with big names from both clubs discussing the possibilities.
And that's not all.
These two clubs have had a very active business relationship in recent times. Just so you know, Real Madrid recently bought fullback Alvaro Carreras from Benfica for €50 million, and also brought in Rafael Obrador for €5 million. In other words, there's a flow of players, mutual trust, and a direct line of communication. Now Benfica wants to strengthen the squad with an attacking midfielder who can come in, wear the jersey, and become an immediate starter.
And their top choice? Brahim Diaz.
But the situation is delicate. Real Madrid doesn't want to lose the player. Internally, he's seen as a valuable talent, an athlete who's committed to the club, who never complained about being on the bench, and who has everything it takes to shine if given a proper run. In fact, the board is currently in the process of renewing Brahim's contract. They want to keep the guy for longer, but at the same time, they know the current squad is absolutely packed with quality players. And here comes the key point. With the arrival of the Argentine phenomenon Franco Mastantuono, just 17 years old, Brahim's chances of getting regular minutes drop drastically. The Argentine is already arriving with enough status to be tested as a starter. And that changes the whole picture. The board now finds itself in a classic dilemma. Renew the contract and leave Brahim on the bench? Loan him out so he can get minutes and come back stronger? Or take advantage of his current market value and try to sell him for a good price now? On the other side, Benfica sees Brahim as the perfect replacement after their failed attempt to sign João Felix. They need someone to be the brain of the team. And Brahim is that guy. But hold on, there's more strong competition in this story. Fenerbahce, from Turkey, has also entered the race. The Turkish club is building a competitive squad with money and ambition, and they want to give Brahim a central role in midfield, with freedom to create, dribble, and make decisions. And it doesn't stop there. Clubs from the Middle East, with virtually unlimited funds, have also made inquiries. The offers coming from there are always tempting, and they can change any scenario in the blink of an eye. But do you know what makes all this even more interesting? The player's own will. Despite the offers, the interest, and the promises of being a starter at other clubs, Brahim Diaz wants to stay at Real Madrid. He's already made that clear to the board, to the locker room, and to his personal team. The guy loves the club, feels like he still has a lot to show wearing the white shirt, and dreams of winning the Champions League as a protagonist. He does want to renew, yes. And more than that, he wants a real chance. He wants to prove that he can be a starter in a team that already has Mbappe, Vini, Rodrigo, Mastantuono, Bellingham. But will he get that chance? Will the new coach Xabi Alonso be able to fit Brahim into a tactical setup that's already so crowded? Or would the best move be to loan him out, let him fly somewhere else, and then bring him back with more confidence? What would you do if you were Florentino Perez? Would you loan Brahim out so he could get minutes and come back stronger? Or would you keep him in the squad as a secret weapon to step in and deliver when the starters aren't performing? Let us know in the comments. Would you loan Brahim or keep him in the merengue squad? You know that player who arrived with the label of future star, won titles with Spain in the youth ranks, had some good moments, but never became a regular starter? Yeah, we're talking about Dani Ceballos. At 28 years old, the Spaniard could be on his way out of Real Madrid. And the reason is straightforward: he's not part of the club's long-term plans. According to the portal Fishages, Real is open to selling him for just 10 million euros. A bargain in today's market.
Who wants him?
Real Betis, the club where he was developed and where he shined before moving to Madrid. There, he's a fan favorite, highly respected, and believes he can get back to his best form. Real, on the other hand, sees his departure as a way to ease the wage bill and open up space in the squad, perhaps for more reinforcements in the near future. Betis' offer could be a direct purchase or a loan with an obligation to buy. In other words, everything's lined up to happen. Ceballos had an inconsistent spell at Madrid: injuries, strong competition, few chances as a starter. But the talent is there. Would you sell Dani Ceballos for 10 million euros? Or would you give him one more season? For weeks, heavy rumors were circulating that Saudi Arabia would make a ridiculous offer for Vinicius Jr. But now, everything's changed. According to Cadena SER, Saudi clubs won't be making any offers for the Brazilian in this transfer window. And the main reason is simple: Vinicius wants to stay in Europe until the 2026 World Cup. With less than 2 years left on his contract, there's still no renewal deal closed. But his focus now is on regaining the spotlight. Last season was below expectations. Mbappe arrived and took over the role of the main star. Now, Vini wants to bounce back and prove that he's still the king of Real Madrid's attack. The big question is, will Xabi Alonso be able to bring back the best version of Vinicius Jr? If you made it this far, it's because you're as fanatical as I am. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon, and leave a like to support this community of die-hard Real Madrid fans. Now it's your turn. Which of these news pieces hit you the hardest?
Would you loan Brahim? Sell Ceballos? Bet on Trent?
And Rodrigo, should he go or stay? Drop all your thoughts in the comments. This is daily content, real emotion, always with the voice of the fans. See you in the next video, and as always,
Hala Madrid.